everyone, we are here at the Red Bull Ring in Spielberg in Austria, and we're absolutely thrilled to be here. It's the 9th race weekend, and that means only 3 races to go in this DTM season. It is cloudy and chilly, but at the moment it's dry. Let's hope it stays that way. And now here's the qualifying, so enjoy.
Yes, let's hope it does stay dry. It certainly is at the moment. When I left the hotel this morning, I thought, you know what, we're not going to get away with this because it had rained overnight and there was some rain still coming down, but it has dried out and is at the moment staying dry. So we will see what happens in this qualifying session, which is about to get underway. To set the grid for race number 2. This man, Nico Müller, what a great job he did in free practice 3 earlier on today. He was the fastest, a 1:33.797 from Nico Müller. It was the fastest time in that FP3 session. Which was the top 10 places were filled with Mercedes and Audis. The best of the BMWs was Bruno Spengler, actually, P13 with a 1:34.986. This is Edo Mortara, who was second fastest in that free practice session. Nico Müller was the only driver that got it into the 33s. Everyone else was in 34s. Edo, of course, 2-time race winner here in Spielberg, 2012 and 2015. As you can see, in the number 48 car, going through data with his engineer at the moment.
Correct.
Going through that on team radio.
Out to prep free push. Okay, guys.
Yesterday's race, of course. Well, what a dramatic finish that was. The race ended up being won by René Rast. Audi's P1, P2 and P3. René Rast taking the win. Mike Rockefeller P2 and Nico Müller was P3. Paul di Resta leading the Drivers' Championship now, P4. Augusto Farfus on his way out of the pit lane now with Bruno Spengler and Joel Eriksson and Mike Rockefeller and Robin Freins and Loic Duval and Nico Müller all queued up, awaiting the green light then at the end of the pit lane before making their way up the uphill section, which brings them out to turn number 1. Here's confirmation then of what I was telling you in FP3 then. Nico Müller, 1:33.797, the only driver in the 1:33s. Everyone else in the 34s until we got to Timo Glock then, 1:35.015. And there you can see all the results of that free practice 3 session, which started earlier on today. So the car's queued up then and about to go out for their qualifying session, short, sharp session. 20 minutes is all we have on the clock, for which the drivers will derive their grid position for the race to come a little later this afternoon. So, Augusto Farfus then, ahead of the queue, and there one of the young fans about to enjoy this qualifying session, 20 minutes. Lucas Au then still inside the garage at the moment. He's not formed part of the queue to go out onto the track quite yet. The local driver, Lucas Au, then car number 22, finished the race yesterday P6 on his home track. As you can see, the very local airport here, which is just down the road from the track. Sadly, not too many international flights from that particular airport, and some of the crowd that have made their way into the track very early on for this qualifying session. Jamie Green then, also I think still in the garage, and there is the Edo Mortara car, receiving significant attention from, I think that's Jens Marquardt on the BMW pit wall. Yes, indeed it is, the head of BMW Motorsport then, taking a look at Edo Mortara's car. So the BMW Motorsport director back onto the team radio now. Very relaxed pose from Lucas Au. And there's Dieter Gas, head of Audi, the team principal then. And he too talking away on the team radio. Had a very, very brief chat with him earlier on this morning. Well, there's a reason, look, for the relaxed pose from Lucas Au. It's not that he's being slovenly and just relaxing. The engineers are working in the car, so that's the reason that Lucas Au's legs have got to be completely out of the way. Light goes green then. Augusto Farfus then with a hill start then in the number 15 BMW as he makes his way up there, followed by Bruno Spengler. So Mike Rockefeller then really flooring the throttle. Here's Philipp Eng, who we go on board with now. He's behind the car of Timo Glock as they make their way out of the pit lane now. And Lucas Au then, the final adjustment still going on to the number 22 car. And see if we can dive in, and you can see it's all being really rather protected in terms of our viewing angle. Not quite able to see what's going on inside that Lucas Au car. So Lucas actually asking if we've got a plan B now that we have team radio. On board with Gary Paffett then, you can see how narrow it is between the Armco barriers on the way out of the pit lane. Gary Paffett had a torrid time of it yesterday. He did finish in the points, but only just taking a P10 yesterday after a real roller coaster of a race for the British driver, who has seen his lead in the Drivers' Championship overhauled by Paul di Resta, who's leading the championship now. And in that championship, it's Paul di Resta on 216 points, Gary Paffett on 207, and René Rast now on 174. And there is René Rast making his way out of the pit lane. Bear in mind, there are points up for qualifying for the top 3 places. If you get pole position, you get 3 points. P2, you get 2 points. And P3, you get 1 point. So René Rast on his way up towards turn number 2 and turn number 3 now. And still furiously working the HWA team on the Lucas Au car. And as you heard on team radio just a few moments ago, they were asking if there was a plan B. Wasn't aware that there was a problem with the car in free practice 3. He finished P10 in that FP3 earlier on. So new set of rubber going onto the Augusto Farfus car.
Good to go, yeah.
And he is released. So Augusto Farfus was the very first driver out of the pit lane, and you can see already very nearly 3 minutes of the session has gone. So short, sharp qualifying from DTM to set the grid for race number 2. Augusto Farfus then makes his way out of the pit lane, and into the pit lane is Timo Glock. Another one that had a real roller coaster of a race yesterday, actually finishing P17 in the end. So the Hankook rubber going on to the Timo Glock car. And he is released right now. And not far away from being able to give you a meaningful time on the timing screen as the cars complete their out laps and begin to get and set fast laps. So Farfus, Spengler, Ericsson, Rockefeller, Robin Freins, Lloyd Duval, Nico Muller, Paul di Resta, Philipp Eng, Gary Paffett, Edo Mortara, Danny Juncadella, Pascal Wehrlein, Sebastian Ogier, René Rast, Marco Wittmann, all out on track. The one that we're concerned about, obviously, because we've seen him in the garage, is Lucas Au. Here's Mike Rockefeller then, weaving from side to side. Banked a P2 yesterday, of course, was in gun seat to win the race, but for the benefit of the Drivers' Championship, went the way of René Rast. Paul di Resta is quickest at the moment with a 1:30.446. So you can see how the track has really dried in comparison to FP. The fastest time in FP3 was a 1:33.797. We're on board with Sebastian Ogier, the guest DTM driver this weekend. Very creditable performance from Sebastian Ogier yesterday, finishing the race P12. So controls the back end of the car then. You can see he's done personal bests in Sector 1 and Sector 2. That's what the green indicators on the graphics to the left-hand side, bottom of your screen mean. And Sebastian Ogier with a 1:31.367, which is enough for P7 at the moment, as René Rast goes quickest with a huge deficit in comparison to Edo Mortara. René Rast then with a 1:26.766, a full 2.3 seconds ahead of Jamie Green, who's second fastest, a 1:29.093. Then it's Edo Mortara, then it's Paul di Resta, Danny Juncadella and Bruno Spengler. Here comes Gary Paffett. So Paffett has done a personal best in Sector 1. Robin Freins we run the clock on as well, because he's better than anyone through Sector 2. Joel Eriksson now is the fastest driver into 1:26.659 and 1:26.659. And now Robin Freins goes quickest of anyone with a 1:25.297. So the time's really tumbling down now as the track evolves and gets rubbered in, following its overnight wash from the rain. Nico Muller, PBs in Sector 1 and Sector 2. He was P15, improves 5 places and goes to 1:29.172, which gives him P10. René Rast again quickest of anyone through Sector 1, a personal best through Sector 2. He's currently third fastest with a 1:26.766. Bruno Spengler is also on a bit of a flyer as well. So Robin Freins is the quickest driver at the moment as René Rast is about to complete the lap. Bruno Spengler quicker than anyone through Sector 1 and Sector 2. René Rast does not improve, but Bruno Spengler, this is going to be a good time from him in the BMW. Here he comes now, heading into the final turn in the BMW Bank liveried car. Bruno Spengler then heading towards the final turn right now. Takes quite a bit of curb, some runoff area, and slingshots the car towards the timing line, and he goes P1 with a 1:24.999. So 1/1000th away from the 25s. Robin Freins is another driver on a quick lap as well. He's currently fourth fastest. Robin Freins in the Audi then as we watch him as Mike Rockefeller now goes quickest with a 1:24.831, which is immediately replaced by Robin Freins, who takes 2.5 tenths out of that time from Mike Rockefeller with a 1:24.583. Nico Muller now is probably going to go from P12 to P1. If the final sector has been good, it has. It's a 1:24.182, so a full 4 tenths out of the previous time.
What we need, not that we.
So Lucas Al then, pleasingly, is on his way out of the garage and out onto the track with his quali session has been somewhat compromised in terms of time, but hopefully the car is okay. So Lucas Al will watch with interest what he's able to deliver in the final 8 minutes of qualifying or so. Here comes René Rast from P15 to P1 with the first sub 1:24 time. It's a 1:23.866 from René Rast. Really fighting inside the car there, as you can see. Yesterday's race winner in P3 in the Drivers' Championship. Here comes Bruno Spengler. This is probably not going to be a particularly good time from Bruno Spengler. Sector 1 was not brilliant. Sector 2 was a PB. He does improve 4 places, goes to P7, but he's 8 tenths down on the fastest time at the moment, which is from René Rast, who once again has set the fastest time through Sector 1, so he's on another flying lap. Here's Gary Paffett. His Sector 1 wasn't brilliant. Philip Eng has gone personal best in Sector 1 and Sector 2. Paffett closes Sector 2, having done a personal best. 3 tenths down, though, on the time of René Rast, a 1:23.866. So Nico Muller now crosses the timing line and stays P2. Lost a little bit of time and is 9/100ths down on the best time from René Rast. So Nico Muller lost a bit of time in the final sector. Gary Paffett improves to P3 with a 1:24.206. Great replay here as the splitter catches on that sausage curb and sparks fly off the Mercedes. 2 drivers in the 1:23s. They are this man, René Rast, and Nico Muller, both Audi drivers. So Rast that time not a improvement. Some 4 tenths down. As there you can see Arno Zensen looks on, the Audi Sport Team Rosberg chief, as René Rast now not on a hot lap on this occasion. In comes Sebastian Ogier.
So that's okay.
Copy, I'm sorry for that. If you're ready, go, go, go. Okay.
So Sebastian Ogier on his way out of the pit lane. He's currently right at the bottom of the timing screen.
Okay, we have 10 minutes to go in the session, Sam. Let's focus on this set. You did a good job so far. You only need 1/10 in Sector 1, and you were pretty close with Sector 2. So try to push, and
Sebastian Ogier then receiving encouragement from his engineer then. We watch watch the car of Pascal Wehrlein, currently third fastest, best of the Mercedes-Benz, drivers P3 with a 1:24.188 thus far. René Rast into the pit lane now, so too is Pascal Wehrlein, as it all goes very quiet out there on track just for the moment. The next that's rounding turn number 9 is going to be Jamie Green. But we're on board with René Rast now as he makes his way into the garage. And here comes the Lucas Auer car. So new set of Hankook's going on to the Lucas Auer car, which would suggest that all is okay now with the car, thankfully. We saw the engineers working on the car right till the very last minute. In fairness.
Was it just driving and...
Their time in the car encroached into the quali session. This is Timo Glock then, who is currently 15th fastest.
Yeah, but in general, I mean, we could try and go like half a degree down on the rear wing or a degree even, but I don't know, with the degree I think it could be too much. So half would be, I think, the way to go.
Let me drop half a degree. So half a degree the rear wing down. Next tire set will be 106. Leaving time is...
So rear wing set then being altered by half a degree.
Watch the traffic. Okay. It's to push your set, yep.
So
Yeah, I mean, we have time and fuel for 3. We have to stay out for 3, but...
So Gary Paffett then we think is going to be out for 3 hot laps. René Rast then inside the garage now. Timo Glock, we heard the half degree adjustment going to be made to the rear wing. This is René Rast then, who is quickest at the moment, a 1:23.866 from yesterday's race winner. Car number 33, and of course the current DTM champion. We have but 8 minutes of the session remaining, and there is Philippe Eng, who is currently down there in P14 at the moment. Local driver, of course, Philippe Eng, and the best of the rookies in terms of the rookie points championship. And the championship overall, it's P9 for Philippe Eng. Well, Timo Glock then taking quite a bit of curb, and the sparks flying off the car, and some super slow-mo shots here of Danny Juncadella, denied the win yesterday, of course receiving a drive-through penalty, which he wasn't able to take because there was not enough race duration left, so he ended up finishing way down the order in P14. This is Nico Muller then, who is the second quickest driver, and Gary Paffett still sits in the car. Of course, what's crucial now in the second half of qualifying is buying yourself track space out there on the 4.318 kilometer Red Bull Ring circuit.
We need to go. Gary, fire up, go.
And there you can see all of a sudden...
Good track position, it's good track position.
Gary's on his way out of the pit lane now because a number of other drivers got the hurry up and they're on their way out, so what's critical is, as I said, to find that clear space on the track. So Gary Paffett on his way out of the pit lane now, and really needs to achieve more than he was able to yesterday. Luck certainly did not go the British driver's way yesterday, and saw his Drivers' Championship lead taken away by Paul di Resta. Paul di Resta, of course, ended up finishing just off the podium, P4, as Gary Paffett only banked a point for that P10 position. So Gary Paffett then, also through no fault of his own yesterday, sustained significant damage to the car, which made the car particularly difficult to drive, and he did very well to nurse it home for that P10 position. On board with René Rast then, as he makes his way out of the pit lane as well. You can hear the rear wheels spinning up then as he goes past Bruno Spengler. And we get the second half of the qualifying underway with just under 6 minutes remaining to set the grid for race number 2 to come here at the Red Bull Ring. And then there are only 2 races left in the Drivers' Championship, and they will, of course, be at the season finale at Hockenheim. So Rast then warming his tyres, weaving from side to side, making his way from turn 3 down to turn 4, the Roush turn, which is into now. You begin to run downhill, and this sweeping right-hander, which leads you to turn number 6. And Another downhill sweeping left-hander is turn number 6 with a small blip of throttle before turn number 7. But we watch Lucas out through the Ramus turn, which is turn number 3. And he too vigorously weaving from side to side to generate temperature into those tyres. Sébastien Ogier is the guest car following Lucas Auer at the moment. So the time to beat is that 1:23.866 time from René Rast. We have seen second parts of qualifying sessions that have not delivered lap times as fast as the first part. But they have been few and far between, so we do expect that Rast time to be challenged. However, there are only 4.5 minutes left of this qualifying session, so every single metre of tarmac and the space that you can find is absolutely critical. So Lucas Auer then right down at the bottom of the pack at the moment. To the left-hand side of your screen is the BMW Motorsport Director, Mr. Jens Marquardt, and the crowd's here to enjoy the DTM race action here at the Red Bull Ring. Fantastic circuit located in this beautiful, beautiful area of Austria. So Timo Glock then, 15th fastest at the moment, with a time of 1:24.750. We know that they were making adjustments to the degrees of the rear wing angle, because we heard the engineers talking about it. So Timo Glock crosses the line now, and one assumes has warmed the tyre sufficiently and is going for it. That's Uli Fritz then, who saw his man Daniel Juncadella denied the race win yesterday. And this is the leader in the Drivers' Championship, Paul di Resta, who's currently 4th fastest, being followed by Robin Freins in the Audi. Robin Freins, incidentally, is 9th fastest. So through the Ramus turn at number 3. And on board we go now with the man that's quickest thus far, René Rast, a 1:23.866, a high-speed lap underway from René Rast then. Marco Wittmann has done a personal best through Sector 1, Pascal Wehrlein personal best through Sector 2. Pascal Wehrlein, the best of the Mercedes-Benz drivers at the moment, in that P3 position with a 1:24.188. And stays P3. He's some 2/10ths down. It is an improvement, but 2/10ths down on the René Rast time. Oh, big lock up there from Lucas Auer going into turn number 1. Rumbles across the curbs. Will that have compromised this lap? I rather think so. So no one at the moment is setting purple sector times. There's a few personal bests, and that time from Lucas Auer is enough to vault him up from being plumb last to P4. So Lucas Auer with a 1:24.193. Whatever the issues were with the car, it would appear that they have sorted them. Augusto Farfus is on a bit of a flyer. He was P14, as you can see from the graphic indications on the bottom of your screen. He's done personal bests in Sector 1 and Sector 2. So this could be a good time from Augusto Farfus, and certainly an improvement perhaps on his P14 place. Indeed so. It's an increase of 5 places on the grid for Augusto Farfus thus far. Danny Juncadella denied the win yesterday. Has done a better than anyone through Sector 2. Sector 1 was not brilliant for Danny Juncadella. We focus on him now as he's about to close the lap. He has one more turn to do. Danny Juncadella then P10, a race winner in DTM this year. And he crosses the timing line now and goes to P3 with a 1:23.869. Beg your pardon, a 1:23.885, because Nico Müller goes with a 1:23.869. But Pascal Wehrlein puts in the fastest lap with a 1:23.748. So Pascal Wehrlein is the quickest car out on track at the moment, and a Mercedes-Benz to boot. Gary Paffett done a personal best through Sector 1, better than anyone through Sector 2. This could be a flyer from Gary Paffett. We can see from the indicator on the bottom of the screen. This is the car now being propelled by Gary Paffett then. Robin Freins runs wide, and that will have cost him valuable 100ths. Robin Freins was P12, and he still improves to P5. And Gary Paffett now goes quickest with a 1:23.404. So great drive from the British driver, who, with 30 seconds remaining, is quickest. Edo Mortara is now 4th fastest. And Philipp Eng and Bruno Spengler both with personal bests, and René Rast then indicating that perhaps he was held by someone And this will be the last possible lap from René Rast then, who is fifth fastest with a 1:23.866 at the moment. Paffett with that 1:23.404. Paul di Resta on a bit of a flyer as well. He's done a personal best through Sector 1. Pascal Wehrlein, PBs in Sector 1 and Sector 2, but Sector 3 let him down. So Pascal Wehrlein is P3. Lucas Auer just crosses the timing line. And Lucas Auer is P12. Here comes Nico Müller to complete this lap. There'll be no more for Nico Müller. He was second fastest and doesn't improve. He's 2 100ths down on Gary Paffett with a 1:23.404. So no more running for Nico Müller. He crossed the timing line after the session had been completed. Here comes Paul di Resta. And Paul di Resta is third fastest with a 1:23.632 provisionally. There comes Marco Wittmann, the BMW driver, was P18, saving the best till last for Marco Wittmann, although his best is only good enough for P17 because of a shabby final sector. On board with René Rast now, as he heads towards the timing line and his session is over. It's a P8 at the moment for René Rast. So it all goes very quiet now as the session begins to come to a close, and there's no one on, no one setting purple. So the order is Paffett pole position, Nico Müller, then it's Paul di Resta, Edo Mortara, Pascal Wehrlein, and then it's Joel Eriksson.
3.
Yes! Woo! Come on, guys. I mean, mate, excellent job, guys. You worked so hard. Thank you. Car was mega. Well done.
Well, Gary, very pleased with what the team have done with the car then. And he has set that pole position, and it goes from P1 with a 1:23.404. Nico Müller is the fastest of the Audis with a 1:23.432, second place for him on the grid. And then it's Paul di Resta, Edo Mortara, Pascal Wehrlein. Best of the Audis is P6 for Joel Eriksson, and René Rast, yesterday's race winner, going from P8 on the grid. So Nico Müller brings his car into the Parc-Fermé area then. And we will be seeing Gary Paffett, Nico Müller and Paul di Resta in there. Tight at the top in terms of the Drivers' Championship. Paul di Resta, of course, leading the Drivers' Championship following his P4 position yesterday. And his arch enemy in the Drivers' Championship is Gary Paffett, who is P2 in the Drivers' Championship, but will be starting from pole position, P1, for this afternoon's race. So very good job by the team and by Gary for driving the car. And congratulations Nico Müller on his P2. And respectful congratulations from Paul di Resta. So P1 for Gary Paffett, and Uli Fritz then looks quietly satisfied with how his car's performed, because you have Paffett P1, Paul di Resta P3, Edo Mortara P4, Pascal Wehrlein P5, Danny Juncadella P9, and Lucas Auer, of course, P14. Whatever the problem was with the Lucas Auer car, just ahead of the qualifying, really compromising his qualifying session. So P1 for Gary Paffett, P2 for Nico Müller, and P3 for Paul di Resta. So the three drivers will line up for the photograph then. So shots all taken then of the 1, 2, 3 in qualifying. Here's confirmation of the result then. P1, pole position to Gary Paffett. P2 is Nico Müller. P3 is Paul di Resta. Then it's Edo Mortara, Pascal Wehrlein, Joel Eriksson, Timo Glock, René Rast, Daniel Juncadella, and Philipp Eng, rounding out the first 5 rows of the grid. Ahead of Robin Freins, Jamie Green, Mike Rockefeller, Lucas Auer, Bruno Spengler, Augusto Farfus, Marco Wittmann, Loic Duval, and Sebastian Ogier. So in qualifying then, he's put the car P3 on the grid, Paul di Resta.
Here I am with Paul de Resta. Paul starting in P3. That means even though you're leading the championship, you've got Gary and Paul. So hopefully you've got a good strategy then for the race, or what is going through your head right now?
Yeah, we've got the same team, the same simulation program, the same car. It was a decent enough lap, not completely optimised, but listen, in the top 3 in DTMs always puts you in the position. So we're in good shape ahead of the race, which is going to be very different. And yes, certainly tyre work can come into it and a few other things, pit stops, etc. So we'll keep our head down, we'll do what we can, and ultimately it's about trying to battle our way through and have a positive result.
All right, thank you very much, Paul. I'm sure it's going to be a very exciting race. So back to you.
I think you're right there. No question about that. Of course, he says that he's going to optimise the result and get the very best out of it that he can. But of course, this man, who we've just heard from, takes P3 and therefore adds a point to his tally in the Drivers' Championship for taking that P3 in qualifying. 2 points will go the way of this Audi driver, Nico Müller, who puts the car P2 on the grid with that 1:23.432. And Gary Paffett, P2 in the Drivers' Championship, adds another 3 points to his championship tally by taking P1 in qualifying with a blistering time, 1:23.404. It's pole position for Gary Paffett, the driver of the Mercedes-Benz number 2. So super slow-mos, the top 3, and the backdrop of the mountains here in Spielberg. It is the Red Bull Ring where the scene is set for the race to come. Well, Gary Paffett will be going from P1. Let's hear from him.
Right, so here with Gary Paffett. Now, Gary, in the free practice, you had a big problem with the steering, and then you guys managed to fix it and ended up on pole. How did you do that?
The guys are amazing, my mechanics, and the rest of the guys in the team. They got mechanics from other cars. It was a fairly big issue, so they did a great job to not just put it back together, but to give me a car quick enough for pole position. So I just have to say thank you to them.
It's absolutely amazing. So now I guess everything's good to go for the race and hopefully for another victory.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, we'll see. But it's going to be a tough race, but perfect place to start. So yeah, job number 1 done.
And you had a problem with the tires as well. There was another issue?
This morning, or no, it was just the steering. I had a problem with the steering, so that was the problem. But apart from that, it was all good this morning. So
fixed it. You got a good car. Best of luck for the race in a bit. Thank you so much, Gary. And yeah, you don't want to miss the race, that's for sure. With Gary in P1 and Paul in P3, and it's all about the championship because only 3 more races to go. So don't miss the race. And now here are the highlights of the qualifying. Enjoy.
So as we see Joel Eriksson walking down the pit lane at the moment, talking to his Formula 3 boss. So Joel Eriksson, of course, here in DTM. Where has Joel Eriksson put his car? Joel Eriksson has put his car P6. Here comes the grid. P1 then to Gary Paffett, the British driver, and Nico Müller alongside him goes from P2 for Audi. Then it's another Mercedes-Benz. In fact, it's an all-Mercedes row 2 with Paul de Resta, and then Pascal Wehrlein, Joel Eriksson, Timo Glock, all BMW. Then it's René Rast and Danny Juncadella, P7 and P8. Edo Mortara goes from P9, then it's Philipp Eng at P10. And then to the next row of the grid, which is the 6th row, we find Robin Freins and Jamie Green. And behind them, Mike Rockenfeller and Lucas Auer, P13 and P14. Then it's Bruno Spengler and Augusto Farfus, P15 and P16. Ahead of Marco Wittmann, torrid qualifying, and Loic Duval, P18. And our guest driver, Sebastian Ogier, in the Mercedes-Benz goes from P19 on the grid. The race in prospect, 55 minutes plus 1 lap, is this afternoon. Here's Verena.
So now it is time to say goodbye. It was certainly an exciting qualifying. You don't want to miss the race in just a bit. Now it's time to say enjoy the highlights. See you in a bit. Bye-bye.